Hey everyone, so the embargo for the reviews on Marvel's Inhumans has finally been lifted and we now know what critics are thinking about the show. Now, we have three big reviews from Digital Spy, IGN, and Newsrama to break down in this video, and essentially what I'm going to do is kind of go over the highlights of each of their respective reviews and then tell you what I think about it after we're done with that. And I'll also leave a link in the description box so you guys can check out the reviews in full. I have to say they're pretty harsh. So here we go. First up is Digital Spy. Their reviewer says, quote, "We'll never know what the planned movie version of Inhumans might have been like, but it's hard to imagine it could have been any less impressive than this. For Marvel completists only, Inhumans is, as many had anticipated, the weakest entry in the MCU to date, across big screens and small. A severe throwback to the mostly underwhelming comic book adaptations of the pre-Iron Man age. This looks to be a serious misstep, one that'll hopefully provoke the House of M to take a step back and reevaluate their creative strategy. Because after all, who thought it was a smart idea to hand the guy behind the maligned Iron Fist the keys to another major Marvel Comics property?" So Digital Spy, of course, very negative review, and they even claimed that it was the worst and the weakest MCU entry to date, going back to pre-Iron Man 1 days, so that's pretty yucky right there. Next up we have IGN's review. IGN says, quote, "Showrunner Scott Buck's previous Marvel credit for Netflix's Iron Fist speaks volumes as to why Inhumans is just as misguided in its approach and execution. It's clear the show was influenced by the classic Inhumans comic by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee, but the dark, complex, and gripping elements that made it great are nowhere to be seen. Even the lighter, more modern Inhumans comics of the past few years feel like they were flipped through without taking the time to truly understand their appeal. But let me be clear, Inhumans isn't bad because it's not a loyal adaptation to the comics. Inhumans is bad because it's a slog to get through. It's just bad from top to bottom. Try as it might, the show does not live up to the Marvel brand, and it's most definitely not worth seeing in IMAX. I wouldn't even recommend catching it on TV either." IGN gives it a 4 out of 10, which is a bad rating on their scale. Alright, so the final review is from Newsrama, and they have some other harsh words to say about the Inhumans. They said, quote, "There's a lot of potential in this series' twin settings of Earth and Adelan, either as a political drama or about the future of a self-destructing society or as the ultimate fish-out-of-water story. But this series not so much refuses to choose between the two as much as fails to acknowledge any particular angle whatsoever. But given Scott Buck's track record with Dexter and Iron Fist, Inhumans also seems to have misdirected from the jump, and every layer of the show has unfortunately followed suit. Much of this might be attributed to the constraints the show is working under. This show would have been a difficult feat to pull off for any producer, and if the enthusiasm of the cast is any indication, the result is not of a failure of effort, but a failure of imagination. We live in a world where DC television has shown us rollicking superhero shows like The Flash and Supergirl, and the ambitious DC's Legends of Tomorrow, the latter of which should have been the Inhumans guiding light. This show sounded great on paper, but after years of build-up, Inhumans feels like its lead character, Black Bolt, all dressed up but has nothing to say." Newsrama also gave it a 4 out of 10, so obviously we're seeing a trend here. The show isn't good, according to critics, and we are going to be getting the first reactions from audience members who are seeing the show tonight and tomorrow. And if you're going to check out the Inhumans show in IMAX, definitely let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, or if you plan on watching the series at all, because I mean this show has just kind of been a hot mess since the beginning of the first publicity stills, the trailers and everything. A lot of stuff has been very worrying about the show. Then very recently the cast was interviewed on the red carpet saying, oh, you know, it's loosely based on the comics, you know, obviously it's a different interpretation of the Inhumans and stuff, and that just led fans to get even more worried. So what do you guys think about this? Are you still like on the fence about watching the show? Are you still gonna watch it? Are you gonna skip it now? Drop all that down below. As always, thank you guys again for watching, and for more on Marvel's Inhumans and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, subscribe to Hybrid Network.